Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are going to get into event number 5, the trivia challenge and the Jeopardy game. So we're gonna get started here by talking a little bit about what the trivia game is all about, kind of why we include it in the Team Plus competition, and then we're going to get into the actual sort of nuts and bolts of what makes it work. Now, a couple of suggestions that we have to just get started here is that when you're going to begin the trivia game, which should be towards the end of the day, or it should be one of the last events that you're going to do with the students, um, you'll want to make sure that you don't have any distractions because as you're going to see here, it's very interactive, and you're going to be reading the questions to the students, and the students are going to be having their time, their 30 seconds to write down their answers, and you're going to also need to kind of be being able to keep an eye out on the groups to make sure that each team is writing at least something in their on their answer sheet for each individual question. You may need some assistance with this, so you may need to get a couple other teachers or some parent volunteers or just somebody from the school that might want to help you out during this event, just to keep an eye on the answer sheets. And you'll see once we get into it why that's important, and why you would need to keep an eye on that. So let's get into the presentation here. Um, all right. So in the trivia challenge, we're going to go over some of the things that, some of the reasons why we include trivia in the Team Plus competition. One, it allows teams to share their knowledge with each other. It allows them, it requires them to come up with an answer very quickly, and it allows them to sort of see each other's strengths and weaknesses. We want them, we want them to be able to share that with each other. We want students that maybe think that maybe they have more knowledge than some of the other students in the team. That can often happen with gifted and talented students. We want them to see that everyone can contribute and can participate, and that it's to their benefit as a group to listen to everybody in the group. So that's the first reason. Um, a limited time to answer questions helps teams to develop decision-making processes. So they only have 30 seconds to answer each question, which means they have to talk about their answer quickly and make sure that they get it down on paper. One of the things you may find with your groups is that you have a very intelligent group, or a group that has lots of knowledge, and you may be thinking to yourself, this particular group is going to do well in Jeopardy. But another component to doing well in this event is not only having the knowledge, but having the decision-making skills to get that answer on the paper before time is up. Because once time is up, they have to, if they don't have an answer on the paper, they must mark an X in that space, and then they have no choice, no chance to go back, no choice to change their answer or make a new answer, or put a new answer down on the answer sheet. So this factor within the challenge itself sort of forces the teams to make a decision, and make a decision quickly. We want them to learn that skill, and by the end of the game, they're going to have practiced the skill, with at least 20 or 25 questions. So they really have to develop this skill pretty quickly. So the next one here is one pen, one answer sheet, and for students requires teams to develop a strategy to answer questions quickly. So they're not each getting to write down an answer. They don't each get a pen to write it down. They may only have 15 seconds for everyone to give an answer, but then they have to have a method, or they have to have a person within their group that says, okay, I've listened to everyone's answers, I'm going to make a decision, and the team has to live with what I write down on the paper. Because really there's only one person at a time that's going to be able to write anything down on the answer sheet. Now, one strategy might be that a team will pass the answer sheet around to the different team members throughout the Jeopardy challenge or throughout the trivia, and they'll take turns writing that. Taking turns writing down the answers, which is fine. There's no problem with that. And one way is not necessarily correct or incorrect, but it's up to that team to decide what is the best for them. What's the best way for their team to get these get these questions answered and get the answers on the paper before time is up. And then the fourth concept here is that we want teams to have some conflict during the day to help them strengthen their team working skills. If any of us think about our jobs and what we do for a living, and working with many other people in a school or in a building, like probably most of you do, conflict within teams is something everyone, not only students, but everyone is going to need to deal with in their day-to-day interactions with other people. I'm sure all of you can think back to, the last week of your job and a time when you didn't agree, or that you had a different opinion, or someone had a different opinion from you. I hope you didn't have a knockdown, drag-out fight on the floor because someone didn't agree with you. So as adults, we've learned how to, or at least the best way to deal with conflict. But for students, and for students especially in 3rd and 4th grade, that's a skill that they have to learn. And so we want students to have different answers, have different opinions, have different perspectives on their answers, and to be able to give those to their team, quickly debate those, but once again, to get that final answer on that paper before time finishes. Okay. All right, so let's get into what the actual Jeopardy game, the actual trivia game, is all about. So this is what their answer sheet looks like. There are 5 of these in your answer sheet packet. You'll find those in there. There are 4 categories in this game today. We have Name That Game, Video What, Board Games, and Who's That Pokemon? So there are 5 questions in each category, and students will have the option to choose any question they want. So the point levels here on the answer sheet, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, really don't mean anything to the actual game. They're not getting 100 points or 500 points for a question, right or wrong. All the questions on the whole game are worth 5 points each, no matter if it's a 100-point question or a 500-point question. This just kind of makes it seem like they're more in the actual game of Jeopardy, and then you'll see in a moment when we go to the Jeopardy board, you'll see why that it's important for these two things to correspond with each other. Now, over here, we have their final Jeopardy answer, so they will write this, they'll write their answer right here in this box. And then, of course, the very first thing they need to do, just like all the other challenges today, they need to put their team code in this box so that you know who this paper belongs to when you're scoring it, when you're grading it. You don't want to have to go around chasing groups and trying to figure out whose paper belongs to who. Now, one of the things you're going to realize here is you start to go through the game, and as you look at the game, you're going to say, well, Greg, if I answer the 200-point question, what's to keep me as a team, what's to keep me from not writing down the answer and then listening to the answer and then going back and writing it down? Well, this is where I said before, it may be helpful to have some parent volunteers, some other teachers that are helping you. If you're working with just 5 groups during your day, during your event, then you may just need one person to help you. It's not a big deal, and we certainly don't want people from your school or parents or teachers to hover over the team. But we just want you to stand back, observe, make sure that students are doing what they're supposed to. So if they choose Name That Game for 200, if somebody chooses that category, you'll ask the question, then everyone in the group must write down something in this box, in the 200-point box. So if they get their answer as a team, they talk about it, they come up with an answer, and they write it down, great. That is the answer that they're going to get scored on. There's no, I wrote the answer in the wrong box. Oh, we changed our answer. Oh, somebody thought of a better answer after we wrote it down. Well, you wrote it in pen, and the answer is only going to be scored for accuracy if there's just one answer in the box. Now, if the team does not get the answer finished, they do not get an answer in the box before time is called, then they need to draw an X inside the whole box so you can see and you can keep an eye on that question has been answered. It will be answered wrong, but so that there's no chance of the team going back and writing in the answer after you give the answer, which again, you'll see here in just a moment. Okay, so that's a little bit about the answer sheet. We're going to talk more about it once we get into the game. You'll see in just a second how this correlates to what you're going to be projecting on the overhead screen as you're doing the trivia challenge. So how to access the trivia game. It is an online tool, so you'll find the link for this in a couple places. So you're going to look for the link inside your Team Quest in a Box booklet. And underneath Trivia, under Event 5, under Trivia, under Jeopardy, you're going to see about halfway through the challenge, it says Gameplay Website. And so prior to starting the challenge, you're going to want to visit this to familiarize yourself with it. You're also going to want to check it from school or from the location, from the classroom, from the place that you're going to be presenting the challenge, because every school district is different. Every school district blocks different sites. Every school district may have different criteria on what sites they allow through their filter and to be readily accessible to students. Now we've pre-vetted this site. There's nothing inappropriate on it, so there's no chance of you running across something that shouldn't be there. Now, if you're bringing this up in a PDF form on a tablet or on a laptop, you can simply just click on it. But of course, if you have the book, you're going to need to type in www.jeopardy.rocks/Guardians of Gaming 345 and hit enter on your keyboard in order to bring up the game. Now, if you're bringing this up on a PDF document, or if you're on the website, and you'll see under the Jeopardy challenge that there will be a link like this for that site. And then all you have to do is click on it and it will open it up. So let's go and open it up and get into what you're going to see when you start the Jeopardy game. So it's going to bring up this website. It'll bring up the Guardians of Gaming 3rd and 4th grade edition. This is a Jeopardy site that you can use to build Jeopardy games with. If you don't know about it, it's a great tool, not only for Team Quest, but for all making up quizzes, making up fun games to play with your kids in the classroom. So definitely check it out once you're done with the Jeopardy game, and maybe you can incorporate this into your everyday classroom. It may be a fun option for students. So to get started, you just click Play Now, and it's going to start off by asking you how many teams there are. This is not going to matter to the outcome of your game. You're not going to actually play the game like this, where you're going to have different teams, picking one thing at a time. So you can just pick one game or one team as a gameplay. And then you have to pick a mascot. It really doesn't matter which one you pick. Now in this section, the first time you look at this and the first time you go through it, it's a good idea to click through, and it'll explain a little bit about how this works and what all the buttons are on the game. But again, once we get into it, it's not really going to matter that much. So this is what the game looks like. This is the screen that you would want to project on an overhead screen through a projector of some kind that you may have in your classroom, have access to. Us explaining that you need a projector, you need a laptop. This is one of the reasons for that, so you can show the Jeopardy game to the class, to the group, all at the same time. Now, in here, especially inside the video what category, you're also going to need access to YouTube, because you have to play the YouTube clip in order for the students to get the clue they need to answer the question. And we're going to go through a couple of these just so you can see. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. Now you're going to start with your first team, and maybe they're going to choose game boards, or sorry, board games for 100. So they're going to pick this, and then, so you as a teacher, you're controlling the computer, you would then click on $100. All right, so in this game you can find Professor Plum in the library with a wrench. Now you're going to have 20 seconds to not only read the question, but for the kids to answer the question. Excuse me. So they're going to have a total of 30 seconds to get that answer down on the paper. I would go ahead and let the timer run out. And then once it runs out, you can give them a final warning, give them the last couple seconds to get something down on their paper. Again, if they didn't answer the question, they have to put an X through the box. And you can explain that's important to put something down on the paper, because if you see them writing in that box, you're going to pick up their paper and they get 0 points, not only for that question, but they would get 0 points for the whole activity, which is pretty much going to ruin their score for the overall day. So once you explain to the kids at the very beginning, 99% of them are going to go out of their way to get something in that box, so that you know as the teacher that they're not trying to write an answer in when they should. So then when you're comfortable that everyone has their answer, has an answer, has something on their paper, then you can click over here and see answer, and it will give you the answer to the question. Now, it is important to go ahead and give the kids the answers right away. Again, it doesn't let you move on in the game until you give them their final answer. But this aspect of giving them that sort of instant gratification is and you'll see it while you're playing. The kids love it. They love to see you, or they love to see the answer right away. They love to see you respond to their reaction while they're going through the game. So they'll be cheering, there'll be moans, they'll be crying, there'll be all different types of reactions based on whether they got the answer right or wrong. So then you'll continue, it'll take you back, and now you'll see that you cannot click on that question any longer. So so their answer sheet should always look exactly like the Jeopardy board on the screen. Now let's take a look at a video what question so you can see kind of how that's going to work. So we're going to choose this. I'm going to ask you the question. You'll read the question. First of all, true or false, in order to consider something a game, you have to have more than one player. Okay? Let's see here. So it's going to say false.
Here's an interesting thing to think about. You don't have to be playing against a person for something to be a game. Those soldiers blocking your path in Metal Gear are artificial intelligence or AI agents trying to stop you from accomplishing your goal.
So we've included videos in these questions just to reinforce the knowledge of whatever the question is about. Let's try another one here. Okay, so I apologize. On the first one, there's not a pre-video clip, but I think on here on most of the other ones, there are. So in 2010, the average player in the USA played video games for blank hours per week. And then you play the video.
Increasingly, games are part of players' daily lives. According to video game academic Jane McGonigal, by 2010, the average video game player in the U.S. played.
Okay, so it's going to cut off right before it gives you the answer, and then the kids will have the 30 seconds to get an answer on the answer sheet. Okay, so once you go to see the answer, then it will finish the clip and give the answer.
The average video game player in the U.S. played for 22 hours a week.
Okay. All right. So now let's take a look here. A board game 200. This game is also named after the word you say once you send your opponent back to start. So again, they would have their 20 seconds after you take 10 seconds to read the questions to answer it. We're just going to go ahead and skip ahead here, and if the game is sorry. Okay, let's do another video what. So true or false, there are now entire schools dedicated to gaming. It's true, and here's the video clip.
We now have entire schools devoted to gaming, and almost every major university offers classes and degrees related to games.
Okay. All right, so what you do is you finish going through all of these. I'm just going to click through them here just so we can get to the final Jeopardy. And as you get into the Team Quest event, you'll be able to click on this and go through the questions, read them over, you know, just to familiarize yourself with them. There's one that requires a video.
A plaything without a goal, like a Slinky, is
So we'll just go ahead and click through that one. Same thing here. Click through. All right. Couple more to go here, and then we'll be through. Now in the who is that Pokemon, you'll see here that it gives you the outline of a video game character, and they have to write down the video game character's name on their answer sheet. So the kids really like that one. That's a fun one. But they have to be able to recognize it just by the outline. Okay. All right. So now it's going to come to that it's time for Final Jeopardy. So you're going to put in a wager. Again, it's not going to matter. Put in $25. They can earn 25 points for this question. So this is a fifth of their overall score. So this one question is pretty important, and just between us, between the teachers, that the answer to this question is given at some point through the day prior to this event. So they'll have to be paying attention, and that's actually the case for many of the questions within the Jeopardy answer sheet, is that the questions are given. So the kids really have to pay attention, and they'll get to see that if they're not paying attention, that's going to come back to hurt them in their final score. All right. So we enter our wager. Oh, maybe because I didn't put any money in there. Let's see. Okay, that's what it is. So if you don't put any money in your score down here, and just enter 0, and it'll let you play now. Okay. So for an additional 10 points, actually we're giving them 25 points for the last question. Answer the following question: how many cards are there in a Loteria deck? All right, so you'll skip forward here. There are 54 cards, and that'll be the answer. Now, when you play that for the Final Jeopardy, if you go back over here to the TeamQuest website, teamquestuac.com, and if you're logged in, so as you can see here, I'm still logged into the site. Click here, members only. Then you can kind of have this pre-set up if you want it. And then click on challenges, or I'm sorry, student videos. And then you're going to scroll down to event number 5. We've included a Jeopardy counter with the Jeopardy theme music, which again the kids really like on that Final Jeopardy answer. So you can start it, and it will give them 30 seconds to answer the question and have the music go along with it. All right, so we'll go ahead and pause it, but you'll see what we're getting at here. All right, so we'll go back to our PowerPoint here. So we have some graphics on the website that you can pull off and put up and show to the students, and just to make it feel a little bit more like the game show. So we hope you've enjoyed learning about the trivia game. This is one of the activities that students remember year after year after year. And if you get into doing TeamQuest over many years, they will come back and they'll always ask you, when are we playing Jeopardy? When's the Jeopardy game going to happen? We get that when we do TeamQuest here at our location. And we don't always do Jeopardy, so the kids will remember Jeopardy game for a long time. All right, good luck, and we'll continue on to the next video.